then mic number 2. Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Oh, sorry. Yes. My name is Irene Slater, and we've heard a lot of concerns about affordable housing, which I've been advocating for 20-some years. But I prefer to refer to it as affordable living. I believe that the root problems we're now experiencing in the municipalities is the result of the cuts by the provincial government in the past decades. It's kind of like the elephant in the room. It has negatively affected many things in the municipality and our residents, particularly healthcare, which was mentioned earlier. Social services has been reduced, and the quality of life for middle and low income and other most vulnerable citizens has been reduced.
And your question?
Sorry, I'm getting there.
Sorry.
Okay.
We've got about 5 minutes left, so.
Okay, the services are downloaded onto the municipalities and stretch the resources of the social agencies, and they deal with insecure funding. People coming out of hospital are now forced to deal with their own paying out of their own pocket. My question is, how can you, as a city council, try to reverse and improve the quality of life? How can you reverse this trend that has been going on for the last 2 decades and ease the pressure on the city finances as well as the pressure on social agencies and individuals?
Mr. Broadhead, can you take that, please?
Thank you for the question, Irene. One of the things that the provincial government did in the 90s was totally eliminate the unconditional grants to the cities. And what that did, however, was place the burden of social services squarely onto the shoulders of the city. What the province did then is move to conditional grants, which it gave you money for certain activities. And then they've changed their healthcare provision model so that patrons who go in for day surgery and the costs of all of their medications and the care, while it's in the hospital, is funded, but once they leave the hospital, then it comes out of their own pocket. What we've been talking about earlier this evening was the whole idea of finding some mechanism of reducing our tax burden. The reality of it is this is a big corporation and it costs a lot of money to run it. And the provincial and the federal governments are more than willing to give you capital dollars on a cost-shared basis so that you can build all sorts of monuments and buildings. The problem with that is that there's always an operational cost to the building, and they're not coming to the table to help pay for that. So what we have to advocate for as a council, as municipalities across the province, in concert with the Alberta Urban Municipal Agency, is to go to the province and say we need more sustainable funding for our cities so that we're not relying on the tax base. The reality of it is the city provides most of the services. And when you say slash the liver out of our tax base, what you're doing is you're taking away all the value-added service, because you still have to provide sewer, you still have to provide water, and you still have to provide roads. But all of the things that make this a wonderful community to live in go out the window. And so when you say, well, I'm only going to commit to 1.2%, man, there's a huge impact when you say that. Or when you say, I'm going to chop the liver out of your, as good as it sounds, as easy as it rolls off the tongue, you don't know what the impact is until you sit down and say, okay, we're cutting $2.7 million out of this, and it's going to mean we're not going to shovel your snow, we're not going to pick up the garbage, we're not going to cut the grass, and we're not going to provide these services. That's the impact.
Thank you, Mr. Broadhead.
Thank you.
We'll try to get one more question in before we're done. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Cliff Carr. I'm about a 30-year resident in the city. I've got a question that I hope is simple, but a lot has been discussed and I've heard a lot of things, but I like a little bit of simplicity. Wondering what your top priority is, what's top pledge, What is it that you'll be most passionate about in convincing council to your way and give up on last? And as a second part, thinking 3 years down the road, how should I measure your success on that item? Are you worth voting for again?
Okay, with 1 minute or so left, we're going to hit some people that we haven't heard from. And the question is, what would you be, the first part of the question, what would you be most passionate about accomplishing? Robin Morrison?
I think what I'm most passionate about would be to generate business revenue from commercial and light industry. I think we need that to decrease the dependency on residential taxes.
Mr. Jones?
One of my passions, I guess, over the last 3 years has been around affordable housing. And affordable housing isn't just a building. It's a lot more than that. It's a big, broad subject. It goes from homelessness through to the house poor, couch surfing with seniors and youth, and people on fixed incomes, and single-parent families. All of that is here in St. Albert. I did some research last year, and I presented that to council earlier this year. It's quite a problem. What this council has done already is we put in a rent subsidy program, a basement suite program. We helped with the St. Albert Housing Society, Northridge Lodge, and we tried to help with Habitat.
Thank you, sir. That wraps up our time for tonight's All Candidates debate, sponsored by the St. Albert Taxpayers Association. Thanks to Shaw Cable for their coverage. Thanks to our media panel, Gary Melnick from iNews 880 and Glenn Cook from the St. City News. Thanks to all of you that came out tonight to find out more about the people that you will be voting for. And thanks, of course, to all the candidates for being present. I'm your moderator, Eileen Bell from 630 CHED. Good evening.